A man rises not in the comfort of easy days, but in the storms that threaten to destroy him. His story begins in the ruins of broken dreams, where every plan he once made has shattered, every hope has burned to ashes, and every step forward feels heavier than the last. He remembers the times when his eyes were full of vision, when his heart believed in promises, and when the future seemed like a wide-open sky waiting for his wings. But life has a way of testing, of bending even the strongest spirit, and soon those dreams that once guided him became the very burdens that dragged him down. He stares at the ground, surrounded by fragments of what he once believed was his destiny, feeling as though the world has turned its back. And yet, somewhere in that darkness, something stirs. Quiet but unrelenting, the ashes of his past whisper to him, reminding him of everything he lost, every failure, every betrayal, every moment when he thought he could not go on. They tell him he is finished, that he has nothing left, that the fire that once burned in his soul has gone out forever. And for a time, he believes them. Nights feel endless, heavy with silence, and mornings feel like battles before they even begin. His reflection becomes a stranger, his voice feels hollow, and his spirit feels crushed beneath the weight of defeat. But even in that silence, even in that despair, there is a spark that refuses to die. It is not loud, it does not roar like thunder, but it glows faintly, waiting for him to notice, waiting for him to breathe life into it again. That spark is his will. That spark is the truth that no matter how broken he feels, he is not finished. He begins to see that the ashes beneath him are not the end, but the beginning of something greater. For every broken dream is not a death, but a lesson. Every failure is not a punishment, but a teacher. And every setback is not a wall, but a doorway to something he could not yet imagine. Slowly, painfully, he gathers strength. He takes the first step, not because the path is clear, but because standing still is no longer an option. With every step, the fire grows until he can feel it in his chest again, alive and burning. The journey is not easy. He falls again, he doubts again, he questions why he even tries. The shadows of his past laugh at him, telling him he is weak, unworthy, destined only to fail once more. But this time, he does not listen the same way. This time he answers back with action, not words. He stands taller after each fall, even if his knees shake, even if his heart aches, even if the world still tells him he cannot win. Because he has learned the truth. Rising is not about never falling, it is about refusing to stay down. Like a phoenix, he understands that fire does not destroy him, it forges him. And so he embraces the flames. He embraces the pain, the doubts, the scars, and the brokenness. He lets them burn away the illusions, the lies, and the fear, until what remains is not weakness but strength, not despair but resilience. He becomes something new, something stronger than he ever imagined. The ashes that once marked his end now become the ground from which he soars. He no longer needs the approval of the world, for his wings are his own, his fire is his own, and his journey belongs to no one but him. As he rises, he looks back at the broken dreams, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. They did not destroy him, they revealed him. They stripped away everything false, everything fragile, everything unworthy, and left behind the raw, unshakable truth of who he is. He is not defined by the dreams that crumbled, but by the strength that grew in their place. He understands now that real power is not in never losing, but in never giving up, in taking the ashes of yesterday and turning them into the fire of tomorrow. His story is no longer about defeat, but about rebirth. The man who once thought he had nothing left discovers that he had everything he needed all along: the will to rise, the courage to keep going, and the heart to believe again. His wings spread wide, carrying him higher than he ever dreamed, not because life became easier, but because he became unstoppable, and so, From the ashes of broken dreams, he rises, not as the man he once was, but as the phoenix he was always meant to be. His fire burns brighter than before, his spirit soars higher than the doubts, and his journey becomes a testament to every soul who feels lost. For if he could rise again, so can anyone. The ashes are not the end. They are the beginning of flight, but rising is not the end of his story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. For when he learns to soar, he also learns to face storms from above. The winds are stronger at higher altitudes, the air is thinner, and the trials do not vanish. Yet, with every challenge, his wings grow steadier. What once broke him now sharpens him. The storms that used to bury him now only remind him how far he has come. And though the world below still carries shadows, he no longer fears them, for he carries light within. He begins to understand that his strength is not meant only for himself. The fire inside him becomes a beacon, a reminder for others who are still trapped in their ashes. They see him rise, and in his rising, they find a reflection of their own hidden resilience. His scars, once a source of shame, now tell a story of survival that ignites courage in the hearts of those who listen. He realizes that his rebirth was never just about him, it was about showing that no one is ever too broken to rise again. With every step forward, he learns to trust himself more. He no longer seeks validation in the eyes of others, nor does he measure his worth by the weight of his failures. Instead, he carries himself with quiet certainty, a strength forged in fire and refined in pain. His dreams, once fragile and easily shattered, are now born of conviction. And these new dreams are not built on illusions, but on the unshakable truth of who he has become. In the end, his rise is not about escaping the ashes, but about embracing them. For the ashes are proof that he has lived, that he has fallen, that he has endured. They are not his prison, but his foundation. And from them he builds not just a new life, but a life of meaning. His story is no longer about a man who was broken. It is about a soul that discovered its own infinity. And so the phoenix within him continues to rise. Again and again, with every fall, with every trial, with every storm. For he now knows that even when dreams shatter, even when fire consumes, even when all seems lost, rebirth is always possible. The ashes will always remain, but so will the fire. And as long as the fire lives, so does he. A man rises not in the comfort of easy days, but in the storms that threaten to destroy him. His story begins in the ruins of broken dreams, where every plan he once made has shattered, every hope has burned to ashes, and every step forward feels heavier than the last. He remembers the times when his eyes were full of vision, when his heart believed in promises, and when the future seemed like a wide-open sky waiting for his wings. But life has a way of testing, of bending even the strongest spirit, and soon those dreams that once guided him became the very burdens that dragged him down. He stares at the ground, surrounded by fragments of what he once believed was his destiny, feeling as though the world has turned its back. And yet somewhere in that darkness, something stirs, quiet but unrelenting. Quiet but unrelenting.